So from a Tajikistan fighter to an Indian fighter, Anshul Jubli makes his second appearance in the UFC octagon against 0-3 in the UFC, Mike Breeden. And Jubli opens up as a minus 360 favorite, as any undefeated prospect you would imagine would against an 0-3 fighter in the UFC. But that is about as little of the story as you could tell. Jubli is eager to be here after knocking out Jeka Saragi, apologies if I mispronounced that, in his UFC debut for a performance of the night. He was a fan favorite on the road to the UFC as well, and has really had a great and long amateur experience. He's a versatile fighter, but pretty defensively minded. He likes to operate really off his jab at range and just really keep the distance. Hence, 4 of his wins have come by decision, which typically you don't see as much in a young career. You see a lot of those finishes on the regional scene against those 5-4, 2-0 opponents that he's had, and that everyone has. But to that point, his level of competition is horrible. So while he's 7-0, he really hasn't faced anybody. And so while Mike Breeden is 0-3 in the UFC, he is potentially a live dog. He's 8 of his 10 wins have come by knockout, and he's had an unbelievably tough 3 fights in the UFC. He started off by debuting against Alex Hernandez, where he didn't make weight and then got knocked out 80 seconds in. And then he really got wrestle-fucked, for lack of a better term, by Natan Levy. Excuse my pronunciation. And then followed that up by getting knocked out by Terrence McKinney in 85 seconds. So not a great showing so far, but really doesn't tell the whole story. He really does a lot of good body work. He's a good boxer. His issue is that he keeps his chin up as he moves forward. And he likes to press his opponents and likes to push them on the back foot. But really, he leaves that chin open to at least to get clipped once within that engagement. And typically, if he doesn't get rocked, he'll reset. He'll disengage from it and reset. But he does get clipped. And anybody with accuracy and that can hit him clean as he's doing it can knock him out. And that's why we've seen Alexander Hernandez and T-Rex knock him out within a minute and a half each. So bad takedown defense doesn't really help him either. Natan Levy really abused that, and we could see some of that from Jubli if he wants to implement it. But a weird fight for me because I'm not convinced in Jubli's skills, even though he's a minus 360 favorite. This is a big step up for him, even though Mike Breeden has some obvious holes in his game. Andy, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you that I don't have the stomach for Jubli at all. I do, like, if I were forced to pick this fight, I would pick him. I just feel like with the case of him going up against Breeden here, it just feels like the UFC is forcing this to be a stepping stone, right? Where they're going to try to get Jubli onto a winning streak, especially into what will be one of the closest cards regionally to where he's from that they'll have for a while now. I just see them kind of teeing him up for victory, and this is their way of getting their UFC exit for Mike Breeden. To your point, though, like if you want to have action on this fight, I would definitely go and just sprinkle on Breeden because I think that there are reasons that you should like his game. And with how sloppy Jubli could be, maybe we do see some of that really solid boxing and some of that some of those punches to the body that Breeden's able to put into his game be utilized against such a sloppy and unpolished fighter that, to your point earlier, really hasn't been going for finishes a ton in his professional fighting career. So, again, no play at all for me here. I'm excited to watch this one. We'll probably pop the popcorn for it just to see a demise of a young fighter potentially. But I mean, this one will really be interesting. And I think that everyone is siding with Jubli here, which is quite interesting. Not necessarily just for the sports books, but also with like websites like Tapology, SureDog. It just seems like everyone just thinks this is going to be a walk in the park, and I don't think Jubli's polished enough for us to really suggest that he's going to get any kind of walk in the park. Ever. We'll see. Maybe he grows up and polishes a bit more, but at least in this fight on Saturday, not yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. It feels like a setup fight, but I'm not sold. I mean, I'm obviously not sold on Jubli, but Breeden is too much of a sell for me. I lean Jubli, but I'm not gonna pick him until I see it and see those skills develop. Sort of like Dudikova in a way, but really, I like the under 2.5 here. I know I was talking about how Jubli's a decision king, but I think Breeden's going to force it to him, just like he has his other opponents. And I don't think that Jubilee's going to be able to get it to the mat and slow it down. So I think that we'll end up seeing either Breeden overextend himself and get knocked out, or Breeden be able to take it to him and make him submit to his will. So I've got the under 2.5 at minus 115 and picking Jubilee to win the fight. Andy's on Breeden, right? Breeden? Is that you're on?
If I had to pick it, yeah. If I had to pick it, I'd pick Jubilee. If I had to bet it, I would probably bet Breeden.
All right. Well, we pick every fight. So, and we're both on Jubilee here. Don't bet it though, but we'll take the under, and we will see you at the next fight.